then maybe you're ready, maybe you're not. You need to check everything. What we discussed in the previous slide, please check all of those things. Ensure that the content that is being delivered on to your mobile users incorporates all of these things. Okay? Ensure the version that you're delivering to your mobile users incorporates all of these things. And then finally, the last approach, separate URL, m.virtual approach. Meaning if you have example.com as your website and then m.example.com. Now this m.example.com is a mobile friendly version, while example.com is desktop only version, right? So if you have this kind of an approach, then again, probably you will have a little more to check, including your redirects and crawling budget and check your canonicals and everything, all of these things. Please do check, make sure that everything is correct. By the way, Google still does support all of these three versions. Is that it does not vary or prefer one to the other while ranking. Okay, there are many case scenarios where responsive web design may not be applicable to you. You're most welcome to use any approach you want. Google does not look at the backend technology ever while it is ranking. We have nothing to do with your technology. Whatever you're using, what servers you use, what IP addresses you use, what kind of content management systems you use, or what kind of approach you take to make your website mobile friendly. It doesn't matter. What matters is, we have been looking at that, right? Whether your website is mobile friendly or not, whether you have high quality content or not, and more, we will see. So keep these points in your mind, note them down and ensure that they are taken care of. The next thing is your website being fast. Why? Well, do we need convincing here? Who likes very, very slow websites? Nobody, yes? Including me. Yes, because, yeah, of course. So that is why it is extremely important. So first of all, ensure that your website is speed enough. Now, one of the pieces of advice I would also like to give here is a lot of people go behind numbers. Okay, my company's website loads in 3 seconds. Mine takes 3.41 seconds. How do we optimize for that 41 seconds, right? So this is not the way you approach this problem, because there are like literally hundreds of scenarios where your loading time may differ, right? So there is no one answer to this. The general guidance we want to give you is, for your industry, if your website is extremely slow compared to your competitors, then you have to worry about it. If it is in a range which is not so far off, then there's nothing to worry about for you, okay? And of course, speed is one of the ranking signals, but this is how it is used. It is not behind absolute numbers. So one of the tools that we have is Page Speed Insights. It incorporates a lot of other tools and things like that that you can use to see where problems lie in the website, if at all it is slow. If it is good enough, then it will also give you a score that's saying that, okay, you don't have anything to worry about. Okay, so make use of this tool. And then of course, you can take a lot of other approaches. Speed itself is such a big topic that we can go on discussing for hours. However, some of the things that I wanted to leave you with were like, first of all, prioritize visible content. What does this mean? Meaning, if somebody is opening your website on a mobile device, then above the fold content, meaning that loads on the first screen, right? Optimize for that. There are several techniques that you can use here again. Maybe you can use inline CSS. You can load that content first and then load something, the other content later, and things like that. But prioritize visible content, optimize images, because images they basically are the 60 or 65% of the load time images take, right? So optimize images. Now there are a bunch of techniques again, like one of the things that we discussed, if you're using responsive images, right? You can use responsive images, or there are like literally hundreds of techniques that you can use to optimize your images. Eliminate render blocking JavaScript and CSS. What does this mean? Anybody knows this? Okay, it means basically if you're using some JavaScript or CSS, and your page heavily relies on them, and your page would not load, or content will not be visible to your users unless these JavaScripts or CSS execute. Okay? So now for this JavaScript file and CSS file to download and then execute, render in your browser and things like that, it may take a lot more time. So please make sure, even for the third-party script that you're using, you basically eliminate the render blocking JavaScript and CSS and delay them basically. Load it above the for content first without these things, and then make use of this when your page is loaded. Minifying your resources, valuable technique, right? If you don't know about this, talk to your server, talk to your developers. They will surely know about these things, and enable compression on your server so that it's like gzipping or zipping basically. Use that technique as well and improve server response time. Again, many techniques to do this, from optimizing your database to optimizing your servers, using content delivery networks and things like that, right? As I said, there is so much to talk about here, but I just wanted to leave you with some hints so that you can go back and explore. Okay, and finally, there are a bunch of tools that you can still use to take help. You may not remember everything, or I may have missed out on a lot of things that these tools will provide. First is the Chrome Experience Report, which is incorporated within PageSpeed Insights. So you can use this tool, or you can use something called Lighthouse that we have. And then we also have the Chrome Dev Tools, which is incorporated in the Chrome browser. And then finally, there's something called webpagetest.org, which you can also use. Okay? So these are a bunch of the tools. Feel free to take a picture of the slide if you want to. And then go back and explore these tools and see how your website fares across them. Again, remember, don't go behind absolute numbers. Okay? Look at the ranges and what is standard for your industry, and then work towards it. The other element or the component of good websites is that they are secure. Because who would like your security and privacy to be compromised here? Anybody? Anybody wants to go open your WhatsApp and Facebook to me? No? Nobody, right? Of course. Nobody likes that. That is why it is extremely important. How do you ensure that your users get that level of security when they're accessing your website? By the way, is it important to have HTTPS for all types of websites, or is it only important for websites that have like transactions being exchanged? Second one? How many of you for the second one? Meaning logins are happening, users are submitting some forms and things like that. How many of you for that? Only. Okay? What if you just have a blog where you are just sharing your experiences and there is nothing much? I mean, you're not taking any data from the users. Is HTTPS important for those websites? Very few hands. Okay. And how about the rest? We don't know what HTTPS is. Is that the case? Well, you see, okay, tell me this. How many of you would like, imagine that you're not doing anything that is very secretive online. But you're just simply browsing things, you wake up in the morning, you read some news, and then you're planning to travel, a holiday or whatever, then you read some holiday blogs, people's experiences, status of posts and things like that, and you end your day. How many of you would be like, okay, with an absolute stranger knowing every piece of information that you have accessed online? It is not sensitive. What you're accessing is not sensitive. It is absolutely not. It is general content, right? However, how many of you would you like somebody to be able to track each and everything that you're doing online? Meaning, you accessed your internet at 8 a.m. in the morning. You were on this page for 25 minutes. And then you clicked this link. And then you went to this page and read this content for so much time. How many of you would like to have that kind of tracking for you? Somebody? Nobody? Nobody? Of course, your users would also not like that to happen to them, right? So now, when can this happen? This can happen when users are accessing non-secure websites. If you're accessing a website which is not HTTPS, meaning only HTTP, then remember, you are vulnerable. Anybody can track you. There are high chances that you can be tracked if somebody is willing to. Okay? You can be tracked. So that is why it is extremely important for whatever website it is. Static website, dynamic website, sensitive websites, non-sensitive websites, any piece of content that you have online, HTTPS is a must. Okay, HTTPS is a must. So, of course, make your websites HTTPS, right? Implement HTTPS. Secure your website using HTTPS, and then what happens when you implement HTTPS on your website? Basically, the identity of your website is secure, meaning the transaction that is happening between your server and the client browser, right? It becomes secure, meaning clients will be sure that they are accessing your website, not something else, right? ICICIbank.com with ICICI being an L or whatever, right? So a lot of these things happen, and phishing is one of the most dangerous things online, by the way, research has shown. So you can be safe from these kinds of things. Confidentiality is maintained, meaning whatever is being exchanged between the client and the server, everything is encrypted end to end. So even if somebody eavesdrops and get access to your information, they will not be able to decrypt it. Okay? Now again, there are different levels of security and encryption and things like that in HTTPS. So make sure what is required for you is you're taking that level of encryption, things like that. And integrity is maintained, of course, when confidentiality is maintained. Obviously, integrity meaning nobody will be able to modify that data when it is being exchanged, right? There was also a question earlier in the day, I think, where people were asking, okay, why don't you provide free HTTPS or whatever? By the way, if you go to let'sencrypt.com, Let's Encrypt, okay? They provide absolutely free HTTPS to your websites. Let's Encrypt. Okay, so let's encrypt. And finally, of course, don't stop after implementing HTTPS because you're still very, very vulnerable. As long as you're online, you're vulnerable. Okay? So that's the status quo. So take the steps, use two-step verification. How many of you use two-step verification? Not just for your Google account or bank accounts, but also for your content management systems, for your servers and things like that. Yes? Okay, glad to see like 10, 15 hands here, which is great. But for others, please do implement two-step verification. This is a very, very solid way of protecting yourself from phishing attacks and from different types of attacks. Also, keep your systems up to date. Now, what do systems mean here? Your servers? What else? Only your servers? Your laptop? What else? Not your content management systems? Not your themes? Not your plugins? Not your other software on your computer? Not your firewalls? Not your antivirus? Nothing? It means everything, right? Anything that you're using, please keep it up to date. Okay, make sure that you're doing that. Verify your site in Search Console, because if there is any danger that we sense on your website, then we notify you there, and this is the only place where we can notify you. Okay, so please do that and have a backup of your website. If everything fails, then of course, you can restore your website, and of course, offer training to your employees. This is extremely